President Ruto has fired one of the most direct political missiles of his presidency. This particular missile was not sent to the opposition, not to the activists, the Gen Z, and not even at his former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. This time, the target is the man who carries one of the heaviest surnames in Kenyan politics. The man in the president's crosshair is none other than Gideon Moi. And he did not do it through proxies. He did not send the MPs. He did not use cabinet secretaries. He personally logged into his verified account or X account and wrote words that have shaken Kenya's political and media establishment. This is what the president wrote on his X account. G. Moi, your standard media's 5 days a week extortionist propaganda headlines on me and my administration's transformative track record will get you nothing and nowhere. Blackmail to yield to your greed? Never. Kenya belongs to all Kenyans, not to you alone. Jaribu 8 days a week, do your worst. Now those words were not accidental. Every capital letter, every insult, every challenge, every accusation, they were carefully chosen. And today, we ask, why is Ruto so angry? And why Gideon Moi? Why now? And what does this reveal about the psychology of power, the collapse of the old political dynasties, and the growing war between State House and one of Kenya's most influential media houses? Welcome to Ace News Network. I'm Daggy Nabakwe. Let's begin. The first mistake many observers will make is assuming this is a fight between President Ruto and the Standard Media Group. It is not. The Standard is merely the battlefield. The real war is between two political stories. On one side stands William Ruto, the self-declared hustler, the man who built an entire political identity around fighting dynasties. On the other side stands Gideon Moi, the son of former President Daniel Arap Moi, a symbol of political inheritance, a symbol of Kenyan old ruling establishment. So, when Ruto writes, G. Moi, he is not speaking to a newspaper editor. He is speaking directly to a dynasty. He is speaking to a family that once controlled enormous political power. And in many ways, this confrontation is the continuation of a conflict that began long before Ruto became president. Let's examine the words. Extortionist, propaganda, blackmail, greed. Those are extremely strong words. Notice something important. The president is not simply saying the Standard is wrong. He is not saying the newspaper is biased. He is accusing it of motive. He is saying criticism is not journalism. He is saying criticism is an organized attempt to force concessions from government. Psychologically, this is significant. Leaders usually react in two ways to criticism. The first response is confidence. Ignore it, move on. The second response is confrontation. Attack the critic. When leaders move from ignoring criticism to directly naming critics, it often signals that the criticism has become politically costly. The criticism is landing. The criticism is being noticed. The criticism is shaping public conversation. That does not automatically mean the criticism is right or correct, but it means it is powerful enough to demand a response. And the Ruto response was not mild. It was explosive. Now, to understand this moment, we must understand the Moi family. The Moi family is not simply another political family. For decades, the Moi name represented state power or state craftiness or something like that. Daniel Arap Moi ruled Kenya for 24 years. An entire generation grew up under that administration. It had political influence, business networks, institutional relationships, media influence, all of it became associated with the Moi name. For years, after leaving power, the family remained politically relevant. But something changed. The political center of gravity moved. The old dynasties became weaker. New political actors emerged. William Ruto became one of them. The irony is fascinating. The man who once served under President Moi is now publicly challenging Moi's son. History has really come full circle. At its core, this fight is philosophical. Ruto's political philosophy has always relied on a single narrative: the ordinary Kenyan versus the powerful elite, the hustler versus the dynasty, the outsider versus the establishment. That narrative helped propel him to State House. But governing is actually very different from campaigning. Now, Ruto is the establishment. He is the state. Yet, politically, he still draws a lot of good energy from portraying himself as the under attack by political interests. That is why this confrontation matters. By naming Gideon Moi, Ruto is reviving the old hustler versus dynasty battle. He is reminding supporters of the political story that made him president. The message is very simple. The same powerful families that opposed me before are still opposing me now. Whether one agrees with that framing or not, it's politically powerful. Perhaps the most revealing phrase was this: do you? That statement is psychological warfare. It communicates several things. The first thing is defiance. The second, confidence. And then the third one, a refusal to appear intimidated. But there's another interpretation. Sometimes leaders say, do your worst, because they believe attack has already reached maximum intensity. In other words, I have already absorbed everything you can throw at me. This transforms criticism into a badge of honor. Instead of denying criticism, the leader embraces the existence of criticism and uses it to reinforce his political identity. That is classical political communication. The Standard did not stay silent. The media house responded strongly. It rejected the characterization of its journalism and urged that the president's remark attacked the foundation of the independence of journalism. This creates a larger national debate. Where is the line between media scrutiny and political hostility? Where is the line between government accountability and political activism? These are difficult questions. In a democracy, media organizations are expected to scrutinize power. At the same time, politicians frequently argue that media houses sometimes pursue institutional interests. The collision between the two views is exactly what we are witnessing today. This is not the first time President Ruto has complained about media coverage. He has previously criticized what he called screaming headlines and media narratives that undermine government achievements. But this moment is different. This time, he named an individual. This time, he named Gideon Moi by his name. This time, he personalized the conflict. And once politics becomes personal, escalation becomes easier. The conversation moves beyond policies. It becomes about identity. It becomes power, history, legacy, and reputation. For Gideon Moi, this moment presents both risk and opportunities. The risk is obvious. The president has dragged him into a direct public confrontation. That means increased scrutiny, increased political attention, and increased pressure. But there is also opportunity. The opportunity is he gets political relevance, which often comes from conflict. The more sitting president identifies you as an adversary, the more politically significant you appear. The challenge for Gideon Moi will be deciding whether to respond politically, institutionally, or remain silent. Each option carries consequences. Many people will treat this as a media story. It is much bigger than that. This is an early signal of future political alignments. As 2027 approaches, every major political player is positioning themselves. Every institution is being viewed through a political lens. Every criticism is interpreted politically. Every headline becomes part of a large narrative war. This is why this story matters. Not because of a tweet, but because of what the tweet reveals. In conclusion, therefore, the most important question is whether Ruto was right. The most important question is why the president felt compelled to speak this way. When presidents begin naming specific opponents, they reveal what occupies their political attention. And today, President William Ruto has revealed that Gideon Moi and Standard Media are occupying a significant space in his political calculations. This is no longer just a dispute over headlines. It is a battle over legacy, a battle over power, a battle over who gets to define the story of Kenya. And as history has always shown us, when a sitting president openly challenges a political dynasty, the consequences rarely end with a single post. The real question is, was this merely a moment of anger? Or was it the opening shot in a much larger political war? Only time will tell. I am Daggy Nabakwe. This is 8 News Network. Kindly subscribe, like, share, and join the conversation below. Who do you think is right in this confrontation? President Ruto or Gideon Moi and Standard Media? Let us know in the comment section. I am out.